So I want to now talk about the concept of perpetuity. Till now we've looked at financial products with a finite time period. I want to now look at products with an infinite time period, which are more prevalent in corporate finance as compared to personal finance, because in personal finance when we look at insurance policies, endowment policies, all of them have a finite time frame. But in corporate finance, since there is the concept of going concern, the life of a corporate is infinite. The cash flows of a corporate could be infinite or perpetual. So, for example, if I want to contextualize this, if you buy the shares of a company and if you never sell these shares, the idea is to hand over these shares to your grandchildren and so on and so forth from one generation to another. And let's say the company is going to go on, it's a profitable venture, and this company declares dividend every year without fail. Then the dividend cash flow that we are likely to get from this company is going to be a perpetual cash flow. So let's make a few simplistic assumptions about this scenario and then come down to a present value calculation. So let's say there's a company that declares dividends annually and the amount is the same. In other words, it's an annuity, right? And you do not want to sell the shares of this company, all right? So you are the shareholder of a corporate. This company is a profitable company. It has a consistent dividend paying track record. And the simplistic assumption that we are making is that it is going to pay constant dividend the next year and the next year and so on and so forth. So let's assume that the amount of dividend is going to be rupees 5 per share, all right, and you own, let's say, 1000 shares of this company, right? So as a shareholder you bought 1000 shares of this company and this company is declaring a dividend of 5 rupees per share. So the amount that you get in terms of an annuity every year would be 5000 per annum, right? My question is, how much is this dividend worth if the intention is to not sell these shares ever? Then this 5000 happens to be an annuity which is a perpetual annuity. So you're going to get 5000 in year 1, you're going to get 5000 in year 2, 5000 in year 3, 5000 in year 50, and so on and so forth, right? So this timeline is not going to cease because the company is a going concern and your intention is to pass on the shares from you to the next generation, so on and so forth. So it happens to be a perpetual cash flow. I want to find out the present value of a perpetuity, all right? Now we've done this before, that present value is equal to future value into PVIF. So if I was talking about year 1, I would have said 5000 into 1 upon, let's say the rate of interest is 10%, 1.10 raised to 1, and that's how I would have calculated the present value. If I was doing the same for the present value of year 50, I would have said 5000 into 1.10 raised to 50, and again I could have calculated the present value. I can't keep on doing this because the time frame over here is infinite and I can't do this process again and again. The question is, how long do I keep on doing this? Although you would have guessed by now that if this was not 50 years and this was the 500th year when I am getting 5000 rupees, the present value of this is going to be very minuscule. It will be almost 0. I hope this is intuitive that beyond a certain time frame, the present value calculation just doesn't matter because it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up to anything which is substantial because the amount is almost negligible, right? Which is what gets me to this formula. If I were to do a mathematical derivation that 5000 into 1 upon 1.10 raised to 1, 1 upon 1.10 raised to 2, and so on, right? If I were to do this, then I hope you get it that this bracket over a period of time will come down to nothing else but 1 plus r. And hence, the present value of a future value formula when taken into consideration for an infinite time changes to a perpetuity formula. We say that present value is equal to annuity into 1 upon r, or a lot of textbooks write this as annuity upon r, which is 5000 divided by, let me just erase this, divided by 10%, which essentially comes to 50,000 rupees. So, what I am trying to say over here is the following, that if a company were to pay you a dividend of 5,000 per annum forever, perpetually, the present value of that is only 50,000. It looks to be difficult to understand because in the beginning you'd probably say that what if I were to get 5,000 for 100 years? That's 5 lakh rupees. And are you saying that the value of that is only 50,000? Or what if my second, third, fourth, fifth generation is going to go on and hold these shares for 500 years? That's going to be 25 lakh rupees, and that 25 lakh is worth only 50,000. If you look at this timeline and look at it objectively, you will realize the value of 5,000 500 years from now is negligible. So, it does not matter whether you take this and extrapolate this to 1,000 years or to a 10,000 year time frame, all of those 5,000 rupees received after a point of time does not matter, and hence the present value is 50,000. So, if I were to give you a comparable that do you want to give me these shares right now, then these 1,000 shares are worth in present value terms 50,000, because these 1,000 shares give you the right over the cash flow every year till infinity. What is the cash flow? Cash flow right is 5,000, and this 5,000 is worth 50,000. So, I am introducing this as a concept that what is the present value of a perpetuity? The present value of a perpetuity is annuity divided by r. It is a very simple calculation, but one needs to have a conceptual, deep, clear understanding of the derivation of the formula, not a mathematical derivation, but a logical appeal of the formula. And I hope this formula now logically appeals to you, that either if somebody is going to give you 51,000, then you are good to give up these shares and say I am better off getting 51,000 right now rather than 5,000 per annum till perpetuity, because 5,000 per annum till perpetuity is worth 50,000. Thank you.